Okay with that?
All right, so I am going to get started without further ado and share my slides. So bear with me 1 second here. All right, so you should be seeing my title slide. Thumbs up if you can see it. All right, so the Design Resiliency Challenge. This is the second year we're running this program. We're very excited. We have some tweaks and exciting changes from last year, and we're still learning, and it's going to be a great process to go through together. So an overview of the program. This is a 3-month-long program that focuses on the strategic design process. So it's a set of training workshops to help designers and creative thinkers really practice and strengthen these steps in their professional lives. So they come to this environment, virtual workshops, we learn together, and then they get to exercise these steps in community with other participants, but in an environment that's separate from their professional world. And then they get to take this learning back into their professional setting. So for this year of the program, there is a strong focus on Black, Indigenous, and people of color for all of our participants, our team facilitators, as well as our community partners. So this is a community building exercise and a program that is meant to strengthen and offer this training to populations who may not have access to it in other ways. So there's 3 key components to how this program comes together. There's the training aspect, the workshops that we all take together, and then participants are placed into teams. So a major part of the effort and the time together takes place in teams of 3 to 4 participants. Each team has a team facilitator who helps the team go through the process. And each team is connected to a community partner. That will be a local business, a nonprofit somewhere in Rhode Island that is experiencing some kind of challenges that they would like help addressing. So I'll talk more about that in a second. So throughout the training program, there's 4 major elements that are discussed in the workshop. How you address a challenge, how you discover and analyze issues for each of these community partners, how you start to research and strategize around those challenges, and then it gets into the fun part of prototyping, experimenting, gathering feedback from the community partner. And the final phase is principles and recommendations. So what are the thought processes or prototypes that each team is going to propose to their community partners at the end of the 3-month program? So over the course of the 3 months, there are 6 workshops. Each workshop is broken in half to 2 2-hour sessions. So we start with an intro to this whole idea of design strategy. What are we even talking about when we talk about strategic design? Then we get into the user experience, how people experience design that we make. Change management is how to really implement change within an organization. It's wonderful to propose things, but how does it really happen when the rubber meets the road, and how do we implement lasting change? We talk about strategic facilitation. So what it means to be in a meeting, in a team, how do you make collective decisions? How do you move forward? Kind of like the nuts and bolts of what goes into designing and making things happen. Ideation and prototyping. Again, that's that experimental phase when it's about creating a bounty of creative ideas and then figuring out ways to hone them, test them, evaluate them, to come up with a really innovative solution for a business. And then that final part is really the professional aspect of presentation and implementation. How do we present to a client? In this case, the client is our community partner. And how do we help them? What tools do we need to give them towards their own implementation of our solutions? This is the overview of the program timeline. So we are right here at info session number 1. The applications have been open they'll be open for a whole month. So that deadline is coming up in the next 2 weeks. Then there's a quick turnaround. We select participants and we let everyone know, and the program launches in early December. In the month of December, we're going to get through at least 2 of those workshops before the holidays. So these dates are very important in terms of the program commitment. And then in January, February, we'll have the rest of the classes, and then final presentations take place in March. That's where each team presents to their community partner and to the whole cohort the process that they took in their design work, in their challenges and solutions, and what they are recommending to their community partner. So this is an intensive program. It's spread out over the course of 3 months. You can kind of think about it like a semester-long class. We have the 6 workshops, so that will be 12 2-hour sessions. We're aiming for Fridays around the lunch hour to accommodate people who have work schedules as well. So that will be 11 to 1 p.m. And then throughout the whole program, there is also plenty of time spent on teamwork, approximately 7 hours a week. The total cohort for this program is going to be up to 16 participants, and people will be divided into teams of 2 or 3. Each team has that team facilitator to help guide them through the process and make sure they don't get stuck. The classes will be taking place on Zoom. However, this is Rhode Island based, so participants must live or work in Rhode Island. Our community partners are Rhode Island based. So depending on everyone's comfort level with COVID, there will be the possibility to gather as a group, work together as a group, or visit your community partner. That will be something of a negotiation for each team. We want to make sure that people can access this type of training, this type of exciting program. So there is a small stipend for each participant. There's also a stipend for the community partners, so that when we're asking for this serious time engagement, there's a little bit of help to make it possible in your work life as well. So eligibility, this program is funded through Real Jobs Rhode Island. So there's a certain level of eligibility criteria that we have to follow. We like people to identify as a designer or creative professional. This is a level of training that will help them grow in their field. We can't take any students for this program, and people need to live or work in Rhode Island. So there's a little bit of flexibility around that. And for this year, we're asking that people self-identify as part of a Black, Indigenous, or person of color community. And that's really the core focus of this community building that's happening. So these are the time commitments. So we ask everyone to kind of be aware of that Friday schedule over the course of the 3 months. That's going to be a pretty key aspect of participation. If you have to miss one and watch the recording later, that's okay, but this is also a team commitment, since your teammates will be relying on your participation. So that's something to be aware of. So these 3 aspects come together. We have our design teams, our learning process, our community partners, and this is where we hope to make major impact in Rhode Island. Just to give you a few examples from last year, these were our community partners. We'll have a whole new round this year, but it was a great range. We had a collective that was a community garden collective. We had the Dean Hotel. We had a retail store. We had a salon, an apothecary, a charter school, and a museum. So completely different community partners in each aspect, which is really cool to see. To give you just one example of the type of work that teams were doing. So the Dean Hotel, they would propose kind of the issues that they're facing. This was a real focus on COVID times. The team would start their brainstorming, their discovery. They would start prototyping. We use a lot of whiteboard tools, sticky notes to kind of get all the ideas out there. And then they start to come up with ideas. How do we deliver food safely in the time of COVID? So these were some iterations that they were thinking of. There was an architect on the team, so each team builds their skills from the team members that are present. So every team looks a little different. They even went in person and started doing some prototyping, some mock-ups. What would this look like? What would it feel like? That's a major part of the design process. And they ended up with this kind of set of recommendations and pretty precise drawings about how the Dean Hotel could implement this solution. And so this is the type of information that the team would deliver to the community partner at the end. And the community partner then gets to decide which solutions they will implement in their business. Another example is the New England Wireless and Steam Museum, which is a cool and crazy museum that needed a lot of organizing in terms of how the public experiences the museum. So this team really went wild in terms of thinking through ways to improve the museum experience, both during COVID and just kind of in generally. And they thought of all these different ways that they could help. They made videos. They thought about the exposition space. How do people understand history? How do people move through the space? Even if they don't personally have experience in exhibit design, as a team, they're able to really dig into it and experiment and learn. And this is kind of a perfect program to take a dive into a new territory like that. So they ended up doing these proposed layouts. They had a really cool video that they presented. And in fact, this team is still working with the museum. In fact, both of these teams were hired by their community partners to implement these projects afterwards. It doesn't happen in every scenario. Sometimes the businesses take the recommendations themselves, but the whole program is really about community building and making those connections. I'm going to throw my contact up there. Of course, you can always reach out to us through the website, through our emails, if you have further questions. And I'm going to stop sharing for the moment for Q&A, but I can go back to any of the slides to explain more. Or please, team, chime in if you think I missed something there.
Yeah, the only thing I would maybe throw in to help think about where these outcomes are coming from. So what's very cool is that the teams are made up of different skill sets. And so depending on how this cohort comes together, your team, what you'll end up doing is really finding out about your individual skills and what your contributions are. And that's how these things get built. So of course, having an architect or someone who can draw to that level of detail for the dean was why their final report had such a detailed sort of view, and why the museum had videos was because they had a videographer on the team. So like, you know, it's not always that way, but it's a nice piece of how this comes together and how the teams work together. But there's by no means a requirement that you end up at that level. It really does end up being, it showcases the strength of the teams themselves, and they were different in different teams, but they're all wonderful and all great and all very, very useful and impactful for the community partner.
Yeah, you're welcome to go off mute. You can throw questions in the chat. I can go back to slides. I think I blasted through that pretty quickly.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
This is Lexus. I didn't think I was gonna make it to this session, so I registered for the next one too, just so I can review everything because I got in like 7 minutes late. But just want to thank you for explaining that, and I think it's an amazing opportunity for my business, and to see who y'all have already worked with, like the dean. I think that's awesome. It's something that I had no idea, and we're pretty close to the dean, even so. So if I might have more questions once I check out the next session, but right now, no. Thank
It
you.
sounds like you're interested from the aspect of a community partner.
More. Why do you say that?
Oh, because you were talking about it was a good opportunity for your business. You're, of course.
Yeah, so like when it comes to like design and certain things that we are doing and trying to create, like with our warehouse,
Yeah.
but I definitely through like participating and how the spaces that we're trying to create, having some expert ideas, and yeah, I would definitely like to go to the next session as well, just so I really understand everything, but just based off of the photos with the dean and reading a little bit with what was in the slideshow, I think it was interesting. I mean, Lisa, Evan, y'all know my business a little bit. Y'all know my business. Maybe you can see something more than me, like how we can like really work together.
Yeah, I think I just misheard that. Yeah, I understand better now. Thank you. Go ahead, Devin.
Oh, I was gonna kick it to Anthony because I saw Anthony unmuting. I just caught you unmuting, so I was wondering if you were.
Yeah. I I was like, should I unmute? Yeah, I was just wondering if we attended this workshop. Should we attend the one after it? Is it going to be a little different, or is it going to be like more of the same?
It'll be primarily the same information.
Okay.
If you have more questions, maybe if you start digging into the application and then get questions, then maybe it would be good for you to come to the next info section and ask specific questions if you're planning on applying. That I think would be the best opportunity to utilize that second session.
So I already applied, because I kind of like to take, get it over with, because I knew I was going to do it, or at least try to. I work in animation mostly. It's actually like what I'm doing right now on my desktop, but I don't know if there's like a kind of room for that. In kind of watching this, I was having a little trouble comprehending if like you guys would accept someone that did animation. So, something like that, making a video in a completely 3D space, or rebuilding a space in 3D. So I just kind of was like, I want to do it, but I kind of want to know if I should keep, if that was a hard no, or if I should, keep trying to do it.
Absolutely, 100%. That is an amazing skill set to bring to a team. And I think I said it a little bit, but to say it more clearly, each team will offer solutions to the business based on like their skill sets as individuals, plus the learning of the strategic design process that they do together. And so it's kind of like a toolkit that you as a team have to offer to the business. And animation is always useful and engaging and an excellent way to communicate. So that would be an awesome thing to bring. You know, I'm a textile designer. I participated last year. So, you know, of course, you're not expecting a business to have a textile design problem, but it's really about learning that strategic design process and how do you problem solve? How do you work together as a team to experiment and address these issues? And it kind of strengthens that skill set on top of your professional training or professional capabilities. And just to tap into what Lexus was saying, as a participant last year, it's a really great community building experience. It was right smack in the middle of COVID. We're all isolated. It was nice to have these sessions together where you got to see everyone's faces, meet new people in Rhode Island, and kind of understand yourself as part of a creative network here in the state, and understanding what other skills people have. And the whole practice of learning how to work together in a short time frame to solve a problem is really applicable to any professional experience.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just people that I've met from Design RI are so great with what they do. So just to meet more, it's going to be amazing.
And I definitely want to remind folks, it wasn't said in the info session yet, but for those of you who are not Anthony, the deadline for applications is November 19th. And so definitely, if you have it already, just like check out the application after this info session, even if you're not like applying today, like start getting familiar with that, because there is another info session, another opportunity to ask questions before the deadline. And so I really want to encourage folks to utilize that.
Yeah, we also have an ask of you, you know, if you think of other people, your friends, your coworkers, people you know from school who you think might be interested, please share this opportunity widely. We're really trying to offer the best and most robust program that we can this year, and it's always growing and evolving as well.
And you do get the holidays off.
Very important point.
While we will
everything
use a lot in the beginning of December, we're in, you know, we've built into the schedule that those couple of weeks in that, you know, the Christmas holidays or the whatever, you know, the New Year and that kind of thing, you have that off. So just
a couple holidays fall on Fridays this year, so that will be a good stretch off, time off.
Thank you.
Well, we're here if anybody has questions as you look at the documentation. I don't think the application is incredibly onerous. Hopefully, Anthony, what do you think? Was it pretty easy?
Yeah, it was very easy.
Yeah, I mean, we're more interested in just learning about you, why this would be interesting for you right now in your life, in your where you are creatively, and just sort of, you know, there are some eligibility requirements given the funding source, but otherwise we're really open to inviting a big group of people to just be part of this program. All right.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the next info session, I'll be going through these slides again. We'll have more time for Q&A, but you can also email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. If any questions come up in the meantime, or as you dig into that application, you know, something comes up for you. So I'm going to plop that in the chat.
I'll definitely be emailing you. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Eliza, for leading us through And thank you, everybody, for attending. You want to close this up, Eliza? Let's see your final
Yes,
goodbyes.
we can wrap up. Thank you all so much. And please don't hesitate to reach out. Please share, let everyone know if you think of a community partner, a business you think would be really exciting to include in this program. Shoot me an email. We're always happy to hear from you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.